4 seasons in, an Outlander has grown to become a fan favorite. While the producers try their best to accurately present each episode, they still made some bloopers. That being said, here are 10 mistakes even true fans missed in Outlander. Let's start with Claire not knowing Jamie's full name. This was in Season 1, Episodes 6 and 7. And Claire has endured a lot since entering the Stones and becoming stranded in the past. But with the support of the Highlanders, she has managed to stay alive. And since Black Jack Randall is following her, she can only avoid being abducted and tortured by him if she marries a Scot. In this case, Jamie. Claire argues that she cannot marry Jamie as she does not know his real name. However, in The Garrison Commander, Claire reads the marriage contract that includes her entire name and, of course, Jamie's. And that's how we know she knew his full name. What a bummer. The second blooper happened in Season 3, Episode 4. After being separated from Claire, Jamie supports himself by taking a job as a groomsman at the financially troubled Hellwater estate. While he's waiting about, we meet the estate's owner, Lord William Dunsany, whose complicated family life may easily ensnare Jamie if he isn't careful. Later on, we meet Lord William Dunsany's 2 daughters, Geneva and Isabel, also known as Lady Geneva and Lady Isabel. In truth, Lord Dunsany was a baron, therefore his daughters would have been addressed as Miss. Lady is reserved for the daughters of dukes, earls, and marquesses only. I guess you missed that too. The third mistake was discovered on the Outlander show was in Season 3, Episode 7. With only a few minutes into the episode following the opening theme, Claire has been viciously attacked in her bed by a mysterious man. Claire threatens him with a knife, but he doesn't back out. So she ends up stabbing him in self-defense before he falls and loses consciousness. Surprisingly, Claire later attempts to save his life. Keep your eyes on the whole violent exchange, but focus in on Claire's knife in particular. Immediately after her attack, the knife's blade wiggles uncontrollably. And this made it obvious to millions of fans around the world that it was a rubber prop knife. Sure, props are used regularly in film, but common. The fourth blunder on our list happened in Season 4, Episode 7. Here, a sandwich that had been split in 2 magically became whole again. Let me explain. This episode follows Brianna as she retraces her mother's steps by traversing the mysterious stones and landing in 18th century Scotland. Roger decides to accompany them after seeing the letter she has left for him. The episode opens with Brianna preparing a sandwich for the road trip, which she then divides in half. However, the sandwich is never actually cut in half. Or was it? Anyway, when she unwraps it to eat it, it is whole again. For the fifth blunder, we travel back to Season 1, Episode 16. Previously on the show, in Wentworth Prison, Jamie was incarcerated and facing execution at the hands of Black Jack Randall. A rescue plan was developed by Claire and the Highlanders, but it was too late. Jamie is not killed yet, but instead, Randall proceeds to cruelly abuse him. The tortures continue in this vein until Jamie is rescued at the end of the episode. If you remember, part of the horrible torture was the mangling of Jamie's hand. It's a dreadful injury, but surprisingly, the injured hand alternates between being seriously harmed and merely coated in blood throughout the course of several scenes. It's possible that the actor was using a prosthetic hand and switching to his real hand when the scene called for it, but if you look closely, you can see the difference. As for the Outlander's sixth mistake, it happens with the Prussia-Germany mix-up. In Season 3, Jamie and Claire visit the Black Kirk, a place with a reputation for being evil, even devilish. The widespread sickness in Scotland was traced to the non-native deadly plant Lily of the Valley, which was eaten by many people, especially youngsters. Claire inquires of Jamie whether or not the monks who constructed the church were German. This throws him off, so she clarifies by saying Prussia. The name Germany was used to refer to the region during the time when Outlander is set, so Jamie would have known what country Claire was talking about, even though there was no unified Germany until the late 19th century. Another Jamie body part makes our list of Outlander mistakes, and this time it's his beard. The whereabouts of young Ian are unknown. Claire and Jamie go to great lengths to find him, eventually following his trail to Jamaica. But they also have to contend with Gillis and others who are working to fulfill some sort of mystery prophecy. Eventually, the episode and the season will conclude after all this has transpired. Together with Claire, Jamie is preparing to shave on the boat. And as he does so, he says that his beard has actually only been growing for 4 days. It's strange because he only has a little stubble. Jamie and Claire had been at sea for several hours when they finally reached New World shores, and by this time, Jamie's beard has grown noticeably. Perhaps the salty ocean air helped him. To top it all off, the cape seems to come out of thin air, which makes it all the more bizarre. But not as bizarre as the 8 mistakes on our list. This happened in Season 4, Episode 12, which is the next to last episode of the current season. It's also another story of Jamie and Claire's daughter Brianna. When Bree hears from Lord John that Stephen Bonnet has been arrested, she becomes desperate to have one last conversation with him before he's executed. Noticeably, Bree is not donning a cape when Lord John's carriage leaves. A short while later, however, as she and Lord John draw near the prison where Bonnet is being held, Bree is wearing a hooded cape in shades of blue and black. There was no chance she brought this with her because she didn't have it on her when she entered that carriage. Maybe the cape somehow magically appeared. Who knows? The next Outlander mistake happens in Season 1, Episode 11. Here, Claire and Gillis are arrested for witchcraft at the end of the previous episode. They've been thrown into the thieves' lair, where they'll likely spend the rest of their lives waiting for trial and eventually execution. Outlander's first season takes place in 1743, in case you forgot. Since 1707, a full generation has passed since Scotland last hanged a witch, making this trial all the more peculiar. Even before 1743, the final witch trial had concluded. It's also worth noting that the zeal to identify witches that was previously displayed was more typical of Lowland Scots and not typical of the Highlands. So, rounding up our list of Outlander's bloopers is the one that happens in Season 2, Episode 8. Jamie decides to rally his own group of Jacobites after discovering that his name was falsely included on a list of rebels. Sadly, his uncle Colum appears, determined to sabotage their efforts. During an early conversation between Claire and Jamie, Claire says, "They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result." In truth, she couldn't have said that because that quote didn't exist in the 1700s or even the 1940s at the time she existed. This is a minor but interesting error, but just so you know. The first recorded use of the saying was in the basic text of Necrotics Anonymous in 1982. So, guys, that's all the Outlander mistakes we can squeeze into this video. Did you notice any of them while watching?